The Unknown Twin. Chapter 1. The Dream. Claire had always been a light sleeper, but lately her nights had been restless. Every night she dreamt of a dark forest, where whispers echoed through the trees. A shadow followed her, always just out of reach, but last night was different. In her dream, she stood in front of a mirror. The reflection wasn't hers, it was a woman identical to her, but with hollow, empty eyes. The woman in the mirror smiled and whispered, "I'm coming home." Claire woke up gasping. Her husband, Daniel, was already awake, staring at her. "You were talking in your sleep," he said, his voice uneasy. "Who's your twin?" Claire's blood ran cold. "I don't have a twin." Chapter 2. The Forgotten Past. Claire couldn't shake the dream. The next morning she called her mother, hoping for reassurance. "Mom," she asked hesitantly, "did I ever have a twin?" Silence. A long, heavy silence. Then her mother spoke, her voice trembling. "Why would you ask that?" Claire hesitated. "I keep having dreams. And last night Daniel said I mentioned a twin in my sleep." Her mother exhaled sharply. "You need to forget about this, Claire. Some things are better left in the past." The call ended abruptly, leaving Claire with more questions than answers. Chapter 3. The Voices in the House. That night Claire couldn't sleep. Every creak of the house made her uneasy. As she lay awake, she heard something, a faint whisper. It was coming from the closet. Heart pounding, she sat up and listened. The whispering grew louder, but she couldn't understand the words. She turned to Daniel, but he was fast asleep. Claire slowly got out of bed and approached the closet. She placed her hand on the doorknob and hesitated. Click. The door opened on its own. Inside, the closet was empty. But something felt wrong. The air was heavy, almost suffocating. Just as she was about to close the door, she heard it again. A whisper, clear as day. "Let me out." Claire slammed the door shut and ran back to bed. Chapter 4. The Hidden Truth. The next morning, Claire decided she needed answers. She drove to her parents' house, demanding the truth. Her mother looked pale when she opened the door. "I told you to forget about this." "I can't," Claire snapped. "Tell me the truth. Did I have a twin?" Her mother's eyes filled with tears. Finally, she nodded. "You had a twin sister," she whispered. "Her name was Elise." Claire's breath caught in her throat. "But she died when you were 5. Chapter 5. The Forgotten Sister. Claire felt dizzy. "How? Why didn't you ever tell me?" Her mother hesitated, then motioned for her to sit. "It wasn't natural, Claire." "What do you mean?" Her mother's hands shook. "Elise. She wasn't normal. Even as a child, she had a darkness about her. She would talk to things that weren't there. She would wake up in the middle of the night, staring at you while you slept." Claire's stomach twisted. "One night, you woke up screaming. You said Elise was trying to take you away. The next morning, she was gone. We searched everywhere, but we never found her body." Claire felt ice crawl up her spine. "Then how do you know she's dead?" Her mother's lips quivered. "Because after she disappeared, the whispering started." Chapter 6. She's back. Claire left her mother's house in a daze. That night she couldn't sleep. At 3 a.m., a cold breeze swept through the room. The closet door creaked open. Claire's heart pounded. She turned on the lamp. Standing in the closet was a figure. It was her. No, it was Elise. Her twin's skin was pale, her hair wild, her hollow eyes staring straight at Claire. "I told you I was coming home," Claire screamed. Daniel bolted upright, but when he looked at the closet, he saw nothing. "She was there," Claire sobbed. "She was right there." Daniel held her close, whispering that it was just a nightmare. But Claire knew the truth. Elise was real, and she was coming for her. Chapter 7. The Final Night. The next few days were a blur. The whispering grew louder. The dreams became worse. Claire started seeing Elise everywhere. Reflections, shadows, even in the corner of her eye. She was losing her mind. That night, Claire decided to end it. She grabbed a box of old family photos, searching for something, anything that could help her. And then she found it. A photograph of her and Elise as children. Only, something was wrong. In the photo, Elise was standing behind Claire, her hands on her shoulders. But her fingers, they were too long, her nails too sharp, her eyes too empty. This wasn't just her twin, this was something else. You took my life, Claire. A cold voice whispered in her ear, now I'm taking yours. The lights flickered, the closet door slammed open. Elise emerged, her skeletal fingers reaching for Claire. Claire screamed as darkness consumed her. Epilogue. The next morning, Daniel woke up alone. Claire was gone. The only thing left was the old photograph on the bed. Now there were no twins in the picture, just Elise, and she was smiling,